So delegating like a pro involves a few simple steps. These are easy to do, but also very easy not to do. But if you avoid some of the mistakes that I have made in the past, it's going to help save you a ton of heartache. So I think you're going to find these things will make your life less stressful and help you start doing more of the things that you actually want to do. Now, the key thing first is figuring out why is it that most people resist delegating. Sometimes it's due to a story that they've told themselves about delegation. Sometimes they have this feeling like, oh, if I delegate something, I'm not really doing my job, right? And that's a false story. It's a false narrative that you're telling yourself. And it quite simply could be due to the fact that you don't trust the people that you're delegating to, which is another reason. And a very common reason is, especially if you're a solopreneur, maybe you don't have anybody to delegate to. And so that's something that needs to be worked on. If you lack trust of those people that you're delegating to, I think it's super important for you to recognize why it is that you resist delegating to the people that you have on your team. Why is there that lack of trust? And I think asking yourself some really hard questions as to whether or not people on your team should still be there is an important question to ask. If you're afraid to give them additional tasks, why? And that's a very tough question that you've got to ask yourself about. The next thing, and this is probably the most important thing, once you've established that you have a team or you have somebody to delegate to, or maybe you're starting to watch this video going, well, geez, maybe I should have somebody that is on my team that I delegate to, is identifying those things that should be delegated. Now, one of my friends and mentors and fellow coach, Daniel Woodrome, he created this exercise called the Love-Loathe exercise. Now, this is an exercise that I go through regularly, but I also take brand new clients through this exercise because a lot of my clients come into me because they feel just so overwhelmed. They're buried in all these tasks and things that are required of them. And so what we do is we create a list of all the things that are expected of them. What are all the things that are currently existing on their plate? And we have them categorize them in two different categories. First is the love column. What is it that you absolutely love to do that's part of your job? And then what is it that's currently on your plate that you absolutely loathe doing? Anything that shows up in that loathe category has to be delegated. We find a way to either automate the task, we find a way to delegate the task, or we find a way to eliminate the task entirely from your job description. A simple task that I have helped clients figure out a way to, deal with is laundry. One of my clients, Shannon, she's a busy mom, busy business owner. She delegated her laundry from her daily routine. And those of you with young kids know this. Shannon has a young daughter. Kids have a lot of laundry, especially teenagers, right? A lot of laundry that needs to be done. And so by delegating out her laundry service, that's something that she loathed doing, that was part of her responsibilities, that's now outsourced to a service. She literally puts it in plastic bags, orders it online, they show up, they take it, they wash it according to her instructions, they bring it back folded. All she has to do is put away the clothes when they get delivered back. One of my other coaching clients, Catherine, she found out that it saved her approximately 6 hours per week to outsource her laundry. And so there's things like that in your personal life as well as your business life that I can help you identify as your coach to help you be able to save some time. When I went through the love-loathe exercise, I was able to cut out immediately, right off the bat, 11 hours per week of work that I was doing that I shouldn't have been doing. The next thing is we start by identifying these repetitive, time-consuming tasks that don't require your specific expertise. The term that we use to describe your specific expertise is your zone of genius. What is it that you bring to the table that is so unique that nobody else can do? What is it that truly makes you money? So for example, if you're an accountant, your knowledge of the tax code and how to strategize with businesses to help them pay less in tax to Uncle Sam is in your zone of genius. Downloading bank statements is not in your zone of genius, right? Reconciling transactions is not in your zone of genius. Same things if you're a personal trainer, your knowledge of nutrition and fitness and hormone optimization, that is your zone of genius, not sending out emails, right? So we got to find that zone of genius for you, help you find those tasks that should be handled by other people so that way it frees up your time for things that we call high value activities. The next area is choosing the right people. So it's really, really important that you select team members whose skill set match the tasks that are being delegated to. So for example, if you have graphic design work and somebody has zero creative skills, maybe they're really great with spreadsheets and accounting and that sort of thing, you wouldn't delegate a graphic design task for that person. So I think it's really important that you find out what your team members, number one, what are they good at? Right? What do they love doing? And give them more of the work that falls into those categories. A lot of business owners, when I start working with them, they don't know. They simply are clueless as to what their team members are good at or what their team members enjoy doing. And so I'm going to encourage you to have a conversation so that way you can start to assess your team's strengths and weaknesses and figure out, where is it that I have gaps in talent? Where is it that I may need a new person on my team to help me be able to fill that gap for the role that I need? Now, the hard part becomes when you actually hand off the task to somebody. Now, it's very important that you give clear instructions and expectations. It's 100% necessary. You've got to also have expected outcomes that you request when you delegate a task. So when you have detailed communication with your team members, it's super important that you are giving the clear instruction, but also have an expected outcome for when that work is supposed to be due. When you give detailed communication, that helps prevent misunderstandings and helps make sure that your tasks are actually completed effectively. So one of the things that I do when I pass things off to a team member is I will say, here is the expectation of what I'm looking for. So if, for example, it's a spreadsheet, I will explain what data points I want on the spreadsheet, and I explain the purpose of that spreadsheet. That way, the person who is doing the task can know what it is that's expected of them and the reason why I need it. That way, that helps them formulate, use their creativity to maybe find a way of solving the problem, because I don't always have it figured out for how it should be done. I just know what I want as the expected outcome. The second question I ask, so number one is like, is this clear to you what it is I'm looking for? The second question I ask is, how long do you anticipate that this task will take to complete? And then the third thing you have to ask yourself is, does that deadline that your team member is giving you, does it match your expectations? Sometimes your expectation has to change, or that means that your team member has to reprioritize. Now, I understand that sometimes emergencies happen and something needs to be handled yesterday, right? But the thing that you have to be very careful about is not becoming the boy who cried wolf. The boy who cried wolf is somebody who just always says, oh, this is an emergency. This is an emergency. Well, eventually people are going to, realize it's not really an emergency. You're just calling everything an emergency. So I would encourage you to have appropriate expectations. And very rarely do you pull out the card and say, this is an emergency. Please drop everything and have this done right now. Okay. Next, you can use tools for delegation. This helps make things easier to track. So for example, there's certain tools and softwares that I have used and currently use to help manage and track those delegated tasks. Sometimes I'll be consulting a company and they use Basecamp. Basecamp is great to be able to track who does what by when. Asana, Trello, Monday.com. These are great tools that allow you to keep everybody on the same page and help streamline that delegation process. So you're not sitting there thinking, okay, I gave so-and-so this project to do. Where are they at with it? Software and keeping track of your delegated tasks helps make your life so much easier. But listen, if you're just starting out, I don't want you to go out and spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on some fancy software. A simple Google Sheet that you just create that just tracks who does what by when can help you immensely with the delegation process. So just start there, and over time, you can go and upgrade to other softwares and fancier tools. Now, an essential element in the delegation process is feedback. Feedback is so, so important. And so I would encourage you to give constructive feedback to your team members, and also be open to receiving feedback from your team members as you delegate tasks. Ask yourself and ask your team members questions on how you're delegating. Ask, hey, is the way that I'm passing off these projects to you serving you? If it's not, how can I improve my communication to help you better be able to receive these projects that I'm giving you? What can I do to improve my communication with you? And next is following up regularly. Doing regular follow ups in a way that's not micromanaging, okay? In a way that you ask for deadlines and make sure that these deadlines are actually being met. So important. If a team member keeps missing deadlines that they give you, it's important that you have a conversation after this has established itself as a trend. For me, if somebody misses a deadline twice in a row, it's worth me having a conversation before it gets any worse. I'll tell you, as a business owner, resentment grows. You start to question your judgment. You start to question their dedication. You want to have a conversation because sometimes people are going through a really tough time in their life, and there may be something that you don't know that's what's happening behind the scenes. It's worth having a conversation over. And sometimes it's you need to adjust your time frames. Sometimes they need to adjust their time frames. Maybe they're underestimating the amount of time that it takes for them to get something done, and they keep missing that regularly. It's worth having a conversation of, hey, well, instead of telling me that it will be done Wednesday and it's really taking you a couple extra days, I'd rather you tell me it's going to be available on Friday. And if you deliver ahead of schedule, even better. So have that conversation. It might be worth even helping them, coach them up on developing systems for them to become more organized and having this healthy balance between oversight and independence. I used to work for a micromanager and it made my life miserable. So I'm kind of hypersensitive about making sure managers are not lording over their team members and watching every single little thing they do. Give them the leeway to give you deadlines, but make sure those deadlines are being met and intervene wherever necessary. And then one of the major benefits of delegation is you're actually empowering your team. You're empowering them through delegation, helps boost their confidence. It fosters trust between you and your team members, and it leads to overall higher job satisfaction and productivity. After all, what happens is employees get super nervous if you're not giving them work. They start to create a story in their head and go, well, geez, Galel's not giving me anything to do. I mean, business must be slow. I wonder if I'll have a job here a month from now. It gets people thinking about those types of things, and you don't want that. And so if employees are sitting on their hands, not doing much work, they get nervous, they start telling a story, and they might start to think they're useless and may end up going to look for another job. You don't want that. If you've got really great team members, make sure you're utilizing your team members to the maximum of their capability. Now, one of the stories that new clients show up to me with is they say, well, Galel, my team is already too busy. I can't delegate to them. My question to them in response to that is, well, has your team told you this, or is this simply an assumption that you're making? I want you to work off of facts, not assumptions. So truly find out if your team is overloaded or if it's just a story that you've created in your head about that. Lastly, I want you to take extreme ownership of the delegation process. If a team member fails miserably, I want you to take complete ownership of it. Let them know you take ownership of not having given clear enough instructions to them so that they can succeed. When leaders take extreme ownership, I have found your good team members are going to say, time out, Galel. No, I know that you're blaming yourself for not having given clear instructions, but here's the deal. I dropped the ball on this issue, and here's how I plan to make it right. Team members, good team members, will fight you back on that, and that's where you have an opportunity to coach them up and see how you improve, all right? Getting my clients to delegate more, especially when they don't have a team. So if you are a solopreneur, you're working by yourself and you're like, I want to make more money, but I want to work less, but I'm all by myself. Galel, what the heck do I do? This is an area of specialty of mine. If you have an existing team and you know in the back of your head after watching this video, you're just not using them well enough, let's talk. Okay, working with clients like you, okay, that help you offload tasks that are not high value tasks. This is something that I help my clients with every single day. All my 7-figure entrepreneurs, helping you identify those high value tasks, identifying that zone of genius to make sure that you are spending time working on those areas that actually matter. That is what I specialize in. So hop onto my email list at galel.com. And I want you to go there, get more tips on delegation, time management, productivity, marketing, all kinds of great stuff that I email. My emails are not boring. So you want to get on that list. And what I want you to do is schedule a call with me, because in that call, I guarantee I'm going to give you a tip or two that will help you get back some of your time. So if you want to learn how to make more money and free up 10 plus hours or more per week, we've got to have a conversation. All right. If this video was helpful for you, I want you to give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for my next videos. Have a great week.